Welcome back. I'm Mary Jo, also known as Sewjo, and this is my channel where I talk about all of my quilty stitchy things. And this is my What Will I Make series. So this is where I take some sort of pre-cut, add some other things, and then use a free video or tutorial off YouTube and make something. So what do I have today? Well, I have this layer cake. This I bought quite a while ago. This is Villa Romana from Robert Kaufman. You can see, got lots of blues and teals in there. All right. Then I have some background and a border and binding, which is what I'll use for both of those. So what am I going to make? Well, I'm going to make this Grand Adventures quilt, just this, from Missouri Star. Now this is also called Delectable Mountains. Here is the block. Now my blocks are going to be a little bit smaller than what Missouri Stars are because, well, you make some half square triangles and you have to cut them apart, and sometimes that measurement isn't always the easiest to get with my stripology ruler, because you know I'm going to be using my stripology ruler. So my blocks are going to be a little bit smaller, and I'll tell you more about that when we get to. So let's get started. I need to start cutting some fabric. Okay, so I took my yardage and I cut it up to 48.5-inch squares, and I went ahead and I drew a line with a pencil from corner to corner down each square. So I'm just going to pair up 40 of my layer cake squares with 40 of these to make half square triangles. Now I'm going to make 2 at a time half square triangles. So yes, these are 8.5, and then we got the 10 inch. Now you could make 10-inch background squares. However, I did not do that because after you make your half square triangles, then you have to subcut them, and that subcut gets a little bit harder to do with the stripology ruler that I'll be using. So I cut my squares to 8.5 and drew the line down, so when I get my 2 at a time half square triangles, my half square triangles will be 8 inches a piece. So I'm just going to put a couple pins in all these to keep them there. Pin all these, take them to the sewing machine, cut them apart, and trim them down to 8 inches. Okay, so I've sewn all 40 of my blocks down each side. So we're going to cut them apart. So I'll have 80 half square triangles, and then I'll trim them up to 8 inches. So these will be 8-inch half square triangles. So just going to cut these apart. Cut them apart on the line, and then I'm going to square them up using the Clearly Perfect Slotted Trimmer, the B2 trimmer. There we go. I'm just going to trim these up to 8 inches. So this will bring a little bit of a waste from that 10-inch print square, but that's okay. I'm doing this because it'll make it easier for the next part for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim all these up. Okay, so I have trimmed all of my blocks using the Clearly Perfect Slotted Trimmers B2 to 8 inches. And these are what our finished blocks are going to look like when we get there. So now I just need to press them. And I made 2 half square triangles with every print and solid square. So I'm going to take the 2 and I'm going to press them to the dark side. And then after I press them, I'm going to make 2 different piles. One is going to go in this pile up here, facing that way, and the other is going to go in this pile over here. Now that's going to be important for when we start cutting these down, subcutting them. So I'm going to just press all the rest and put them into 2 different piles. Got a lot of pressing to finish. Okay, I have those all pressed and I'm stacked up in my 2 different piles. Now what I need to do is I need to subcut these. And we're going to subcut these into strips. And we're going to take these, which these are my 8-inch half square triangles now, and we're going to divide those before, which leaves us with 2. So I'm going to cut these into 4 2-inch strips. So what I'm going to do is I will get probably about 6 all stacked up nice and even, and then use my stripology ruler and cut all 6 of them into 2-inch strips and get it all done really quick that way. So that's why I cut my solid squares here to 8.5, because that would give me an 8-inch half square triangles. If you were to take the whole 10-inch squares, 10-inch solid square with a 10-inch print square, that was going to give you a 9.5-inch half square triangle, so you would get a really odd measurement of about 2 3/8, which that's kind of hard to cut on the stripology, especially all at once. So that's why I went with the 8-inch, because it's going to be really simple to just get the stripology and cut them down to strips. And I think I will do the cutting at the strips next time. So I'm going to end this here. Until then, bye!